Well, thank you, Sakal and Preeti. Good morning, everyone. Let us now have a look at the top lines in the finance world first. Government expands its Digital India program, launching 22 initiatives and broadening the scope of existing ones. Information and Technology and Communications Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad awarded 3 states and 55 districts across the country for significant contributions towards digital inclusion and innovative solutions. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh states get big Microsoft push for growth in public services. Microsoft to work with Telangana for startup push. On the other side, Government of Andhra Pradesh signs an MOU with Microsoft over the technology offer, which will help in achieving better public services. A high-level government panel headed by Vijay Kelkar suggests sweeping reforms to energize public-private partnerships in the infrastructure sector. Proposals include a provision for monetization of projects, revamp of the model concession agreement, and creation of a new institutional mechanism. Reserve Bank of India releases Deepak Mohanty panel's report on financial inclusion. The central bank says to promote financial inclusion, banks should go for mobile technology for the last mile service delivery. Civil Aviation Ministry gives clearance for 4 greenfield airports, including 1,378 crore rupees international airports at Dholera in Gujarat. And the other 3 greenfield airports are proposed to be set up in Andhra Pradesh, with 2 of them likely to be no-frilled ones. Well, those are the top lines. On the other side, crude oil prices fall to an 11-year low, and the world's biggest crude oil exporter, Saudi Arabia's budget deficit swells on oil price fall. Let's have a look at this report. Oil fell more than 3%, with global benchmark Brent back near 11-year lows as last week's short covering dried up and players worried that crude prices had more room to swoon in the new year. Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest crude exporter, continues to cut its dependence on oil revenue. Saudi Arabia's King Salman announced his first budget, and he said revenues reached $162 billion, down 15% on official expectations. Most importantly, Saudi Arabia's budget deficit soared to $98 billion this year as the world's biggest oil exporter countered the cost of falling crude prices. Saudi Arabia said that oil revenues, which make up 77% of the total revenue figure for 2015, are down 23% compared to last year. On the other side, Iran vowed to cut prices and boost production in a global market that is already swamped by oversupply. Crude declined more than 3% on Monday to trade below $37 a barrel. Crude had topped $38 per barrel on Thursday, the highest it has been since it started the month above $41. Oil is down more than 11% for the month and is hovering around 7-year lows amid a glut of production and weak demand in China. Bureau Report, DD News. Well, the falling crude oil prices is impacting the markets across the world. In fact, if you look at the markets, to begin with the Asian markets, today the Asian markets have opened on pretty much on a negative note. Nikkei is down by 0.19%, Hang Seng down by almost 1%, Shanghai Composite is almost down by 2.5%. However, SGX Nifty is showing some sort of positive signs there, up by 25 points. The falling crude oil prices have impacted the US markets as well, especially the energy stocks dragged down the US markets. Dow Jones, S&P 500 and Nasdaq are almost down by between 0.14 to 0.22%. And on the European market side as well, we have German DAX down by almost 0.69%, once again impacted by the falling crude oil prices. The Indian markets have a different story. BSE Sensex was up by almost 195 points and the CNX Nifty was up by almost 64 points, the National Stock Exchange there. Well, moving on to the currency market side, the rupee story against dollar is almost at up by 0.02 levels, stabilizing around 66.19 levels there. And then the rupee against euro is around 72.62, down by almost 0.11 levels. And rupee had shown its strength on Japanese currency yen as well, which is up by almost 0.0011 levels to close around 0.5493. And on the commodity market side, as I was mentioning, the crude oil fall, to begin with the Brent crude itself, it's around $36.62 per barrel, down by almost $3 in the international market. And on the gold per 10 grams is around 25,114 rupees, down by almost 98 rupees in the Indian markets.
And on the other side, silver too had a similar story, down by almost 913 rupees per kg to close at 33,432 per kg. So those are the updates in the finance world. Once again, back to you, Sakal and Preeti.